Sacramento branch campus. If you're in this session, then you're interested in our Masters of Counseling Psychology with that concentration in marriage family therapy, which is awesome. In this session, we're going to be going over all about the program that's here at the Sacramento location, everything that you're going to need to know about applying to the program, the admission requirements, the nature of the program, scheduling, everything that goes into being a student at the program, we're going to be going over in this session. As we go through, there are going to be specific check markers that we're going to use to go ahead and press pause and answer any questions that you have about the chapters that we just went over. And at the end, we'll have more than enough time to answer any questions, any additional questions, and go over anything that we maybe didn't have a chance to go over in the session. The primary way that we're going to be using to communicate is going to be the chat feature at the bottom of your screen. If you don't want to use the chat feature and you feel more comfortable unmuting yourself and asking questions, we can go ahead and use that as well. But without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with y'all. I'm going to let this last person off the waiting list. And we are going to go ahead and get started. I should also say that a recording of this session is actually going to be posted on our YouTube page a little bit later on next week when I have a chance to go in and fix the closed captioning. So any questions that you have, if you want to go ahead and refer back to the YouTube page, you guys are going to get a 24-hour email, either a thank you or the additional email with the link to that Zoom or that YouTube channel page. So you guys will be able to see the recording of this session a little bit later on next week. Without any further ado, let me go ahead and make this full screen. And let's talk a little bit more. So like we talked about, the Masters of Arts in Counseling Psychology with that concentration in marriage and family therapy. This program is also making you eligible for your professional clinical counseling license as well. And we'll talk about that here in just a moment. But before we go over that, I always like to talk about the University of San Francisco and who we are. So who are we? We are a private university with our origins in San Francisco, California, back in 1855, when we focus on giving back and learning in the Jesuit Catholic tradition. Now, we do have three core values that we operate for all of our academic programs. The first is Cura Personalis, which is the possibility that your mind, body, and spirit all directly related when it comes to your education, giving back to your communities, which leads into the second is we want to be people for others. A lot of our programs here at the university, specifically at the Sacramento location, focus on giving back to specific underserved communities within the greater Sacramento region. And then diversity. And when we're talking about diversity with celebrating races, ethnicities, religions, sexual orientations, genders, abilities, and disabilities, occupations, and socioeconomic backgrounds as well. As far as the Sacramento campus in particular, obviously we're in downtown Sacramento. You guys can see my Zoom background. There's the Tower Bridge right here behind me. The branch campus has actually been in Sacramento, California for the better part of the last 40 years. We haven't always been at this location. We've kind of been sprinkled around the Arden Arcade, East Sacramento, and now the downtown Sacramento location. And within our Sacramento location is a variety of different classroom spaces, lounges, quiet study rooms upstairs. Our simulation lab and skills lab is for our nursing students on campus, and the collaboration zone, which is a large spread out, kind of like library, university, union-esque area upstairs on the third floor of our building. Inside the building, we also have a fitness facility, 24-hour front desk security in the lobby of the building, and as a student, you are going to have Monday through Saturday access to the building from about 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Saturday. And like I mentioned, it's not just the MFT program that we offer in Sacramento. We also offer that Bachelor of Science in Nursing. The Master of Public Health is designed for students who want to get involved in state and local government at the Capitol building. The Masters of Counseling Psychology, which y'all are here for today. And then finally, the Master of Teaching that comes with a single or multiple subject teaching credential for those students who want to be educators. So any of your friends or family members that are interested in any of these programs, go ahead and send them our way. And we got some information for them as well. Being a student at a branch campus is a little unique. It's a very unique experience in that all of the offices like financial aid, student disability services, veteran affairs, the cultural diversity offices, they're all located at the main San Francisco location. So the primary way that our students will utilize these resources is gonna be in a virtual manner, either via phone, via email, via Zoom appointments, and that includes career services, counseling and psychological services, disability services, and much more. Every single year, though, we will have a resource fair on our campus where we invite all of these offices and then some to come visit our students at the Sacramento location. So you'll have an opportunity to meet somebody from the financial aid office or from the university bookstore, from the disabilities office. So when they return back to San Francisco at the end of the day, you have a face that goes with the department and you can reach out to that individual person going forward. So kind of a way to mitigate those feelings of being separated. We'll bring them to you first. So when they go back to San Francisco, you have a particular person that you're reaching out to at the end of the day. Now, let's talk about marriage family therapy in particular. We always like to talk about what is marriage family therapy, and it is defined as any service performed with individuals, couples, or groups. And particularly, it focuses on your interpersonal relationships with your clients or your patients that you're going to be working with in the future. Marriage family therapy is exactly what that sounds like. So that's a pretty straightforward definition. The one that kind of confuses people is professional clinical counseling. Now, professional clinical counseling is defined as the application of counseling interventions and psychotherapeutic techniques to identify and remediate cognitive, mental, and emotional issues. That last piece is going to be the key piece when it comes to professional clinical counseling. Professional clinical counseling focuses on anything having to do with your patient or your client's mental, behavioral, or cognitive health. So it's almost a step deeper into the world of mental health of your clients. The really cool thing about this program is you are going to be eligible for both licenses at the end of the day, which is pretty awesome. We'll talk about those licensing requirements for the state of California a little bit later on in the session, but these are as it is defined by our university. Now, there are a couple of different unique tracks that you can take, whether you're choosing marriage family therapy, professional clinical counseling, or both of those routes at the end of the day. Now, we talked about this, right? Marriage family therapist focuses on families and individuals and problems that are all social and relationship based in their interpersonal communication. This may include depression, parent-child conflicts, self-esteem issues, and substance abuse as well. And most often, once our students graduate from the program, we see them going in to open their own private practice, school districts in the area, and government agencies in the Sacramento region versus professional clinical counselors, like we talked about, any issue that directly impacts your client or your patient's mental, behavioral, or cognitive health. Most often, when our students graduate with that PCC license, they will go into hospitals, health centers, and government agencies post-graduation. Some quick highlights about the program. This program is a cohort-based model. So that cohort-based model means the students that you get accepted in the program with, those are going to be all of the same students that you're seeing in your classes and eventual graduation from the program at the end of the day. So it's to promote that connection, the relationship with your peers and your faculty members as well. Your faculty members and instructors are all practicing mental health clinicians. Most of them are based here out of the greater Sacramento region. Sometimes we do borrow professors and faculty from the main San Francisco campus. So sometimes you may have a professor that's based out of the main San Francisco Bay Area as well. So when you graduate, not only do you have a network of professionals here in Sacramento, you'll also have that network in the San Francisco Bay Area as well. Small class sizes, 20 students maximum. Every single year, we will admit about 40 students into the program. There are not going to be 40 students in your classes. Our program director, Carmen Pacheco, we're going to talk about her here in just a moment. She'll actually split those 40 students in half into cohort A and to cohort B. And those respective cohorts are going to be the students in all of your classes going forward. And this program does satisfy the California Board of Behavioral Sciences, the BBS, the educational requirements to earn that MFT license and that PCC license at the end of the day. And leading into class schedules, classes are one night per week with some Saturday classes throughout the semester. So let's talk about it a little bit more, right? The program here in Sacramento is very unique. We run all year round, and actually all of our programs run all year round. And what that means is you will be taking classes with us during the summertime as well. You will have a designated one day of the week that you're going to be assigned to take classes, and that time block is going to be from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. So it is about a 6-hour time block with anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes for a dinner break in between, depending on what your class is going to discuss with your professor or your faculty member for that specific class that you're taking. Now, that designated day of the week is going to be assigned to you once you are accepted into the program for the semester that you're applying for. So it is assigned to you, but that will be your designated day of the week for the first 2 years of the program. And we're going to talk about that here in just a moment. In that first 2 years of the program as well, you will have the occasional Saturday class. Now, Saturdays are a little bit different. Depending on the semester, you may have more or less Saturday classes in that particular semester on top of your already assigned Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday class. Now, Saturdays run from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Students will particularly have more Saturday classes during the summertime because we get cut from a 16-week semester down to a 12-week semester during the summertime. So naturally, there will be more assigned Saturdays for you during the summertime. Right before the most recent semester ends and you're registering for your classes, you'll work with the program director to make sure that you're aware of all the Saturday commitments that are going to be coming up in future semesters. So you'll have an idea of when all those Saturdays are going to be when you're registering for the next semester's classes. Now, in your final 2 semesters of the program, or in other words, your final year of the program, all students will shift to Friday traineeship classes. Now, traineeship is a little bit of a unique class, and we're going to talk about that on the next slide when we talk about the course scheduling. This is going to shift everybody from Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday classes to now taking Friday classes, starting at 4:30 p.m. and going to 8:30 p.m. And like I mentioned, we're going to talk about that here in just a moment. Last thing that I'll say about this slide before we go into the overview of the classes is classes are presented in a sequential format, meaning you are going to be in a traditional 16-week semester like you may have had at a previous college or university. However, your classes are only going to be about 5 weeks long at a time, and you're only taking one class at a time during your time enrolled in that specific class during the semester. In total, you will complete about 60 units over the course of your 3 years in the program. Keep in mind, this is the 3-year traditional route that you're applying for here at the Sacramento location, but it is sequential classes. So, for example, the very first class that you're taking in the program is over here in the first fall semester. That is Psychology 631, Theories of Counseling and Psychotherapy. That class will run from week 1 to week 5 of your first semester. During that week, you are only meeting one night per week on your assigned class time and the occasional Saturday class per every class that you're taking in the program. During that final week of the program, so week 5 of that specific class, you were turning in all of your final group assignments, case studies, papers, presentations, whatever it is that you're doing with that professor for that specific class, you're turning it in week 5 of that particular class. And then that does it for that particular class for your time in the program. Week 6 of the semester, you are moving on to your next class for the next 5-week increment, which in your first semester is going to be ethical, legal, and professional issues in psychology. That class will run from week 6 to week 10, and then from week 11 to week 15 is going to be counseling across culture. So each class is going to be in that 5-week increment, and the program director, she'll do that for a couple of different reasons. She'll do that, one, so students aren't neglecting multiple master's degree courses at the same time. Students have the ability to focus on one series of courses, one series of assignments, homework, discussion posts at a time. And she does that too, so students don't get overwhelmed with the actual material that you're covering in the class, especially once we start getting into this first summer semester and this second fall semester. We start taking a deep dive into trauma and crisis therapy, family systems, relationship systems, and marriage systems. So that includes a lot of self-reflection about your own experiences in life as well. So those couple of semesters start to get really heavy in the classroom. So in an effort to reduce the burnout and minimize that stress on students, you will only be taking one class at a time for 5 weeks at a time. And if you've never done something like that, it is a little bit of a transition, especially in that first semester of the program, because you're only focusing on one class for 5 weeks. But after we get done with that first semester, most students can kind of clearly see why we do it that way in an effort to not to mitigate that burnout for that students may feel in a very long program like this. It is a 3-year commitment of a program here in Sacramento. Definitely keep that in mind. On that last slide, we talked about something called traineeship, right? So sometime in that final year of your program, every student in the MFT program is going to shift over to Friday classes starting at 4:30 p.m. and that class is called Traineeship. Now, Traineeship is the designation of what your fieldwork experience is going to be, but it's also going to be a class that you're taking in your senior year of the program. This is going to be less of an academic intensive class, and it's almost going to be more of a collaborative discussion based class. So traineeship is an opportunity for you and your cohort members to get together with your instructor or your faculty advisor in a classroom setting in that final year of the program. During that final year, you're also doing your field work experience at one of our Sacramento area partners. So the purpose of traineeship is to bring the students together, bring your faculty advisor together to talk about the issues that you're experiencing at your fieldwork experience, the other counselors, your clients, your patients, anything that's happening and anything that's worth sharing that you want to bring back and give to your cohorts or issues that you're trying to work through at your fieldwork experience. That is what the traineeship class is for. It's an effort to maintain that network as you guys move into your senior year and sharpen those tools for you guys as you move in to your final semesters, kind of going out into the field and finishing those hours that are required for your license. The only academic class that you're taking in that final year of the program is your addictions counseling class. That is the only 5-week academic class that you're taking in that final year. Everything else is all collaborative discussion-based traineeship in that final year. You will not have any homework, any assignments, any exams, any case studies for traineeship. It is all collaborative and discussion-based in that final year. Now, that's the overview and the course sequencing of the program. Now, we just went through a lot of information here. We do have a lot more information to go, but I always like to pause here to kind of take a gauge on the group. How are we feeling? Does anybody have any questions about any of the material that we just covered? We can also backtrack. So like we talked about, right? We're going to be using the chat feature primarily, but if you feel comfortable doing so, feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions that you may have about the scheduling, the overview of the program, anything that you got. We'll go ahead and take those questions now. Questions?
Hi there. I do have a question about that third year, and thanks for toggling back to that last slide. So I know we've stated that it's a 3-year program, but as I look, it looks like it's only like 2.5 years-ish. Am I getting that correct?
Yeah. So your 3 calendar years of a program, it'll be an 8-semester track. So when you're seeing information about this on our website, this program and the program over in San Francisco and in the San Jose, the South Bay campus, will all be designated under the 3-year approach. The 2-year accelerated program is only offered at the main San Francisco campus. That is about a 6-semester program. The tricky part about the 2-year accelerated program is it is not a cohort-based system. So they cannot guarantee that you're going to see all of the same students in all of your classes going forward. But you do get more flexibility and choice for morning, afternoon, and night classes going towards the 2-year accelerated program. So keep in mind, this is going to be the 3-year designation, 8 consecutive semesters. You'll start in a fall semester, you'll end in a spring semester. All right, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions we can help y'all answer right now before we move on?
I have a couple questions.
Yes,
one is, I think I believe you did cover this, but I just wanted to confirm for the LCC, there are no additional classes required, right?
Correct.
It's the same exact class program.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So, yeah, so I'll kind of expand on that. So students who are pursuing the MFT, the professional clinical counseling licensure, or both of those licenses at the end of the day, this track is going to be exactly the same. There are no more or less classes that you need to take to earn both of those licenses. The unique part about those licenses comes with the fieldwork experience that we're going to be talking about here in a couple of slides.
And my one other question was, you said that the classes are once a week, sometime between 4 and get the 3-hour chunk per week, or is it the full 6 hours?
Yeah, it's going to be the full 6 hours. That is going to be the time that you're going to be assigned to take classes. Now, depending on the professor that you're going to be having, they may let you out a little bit early. Sometimes I've seen students let out, as early as 8:30 p.m. every single night that they're having classes. Again, depending on the semester, depending on the course that you're taking, but the assigned time that you're set to be in class is going to be that 6-hour time block, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. with anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes for a dinner time break in between that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right, and I have some questions in the chat right here as well. Let me see if I can go over, take a look at these. Can you tell us a little bit about the coursework, the nature of the assignments we'll be doing? Yeah, that's a great question. Now, I talked to the program director a lot. Her name is Carmen Pacheco. We're going to talk about her here in a few slides as well. This program is a very unique and interactive program. We focus a lot on case studies during your time in the program. We focus a lot on acting out different conversations that may come up with your clients. And I just had a student earlier this week ask about homework. You know, she had just graduated from her bachelor's degree. In your bachelor's degree, they tell you, you know, for every 1 hour that you spend in class, you should be spending about 3 hours outside of the class, preparing or doing homework, preparing for exams, things of that nature. That's really not the case for this MFT program. The bulk of your learning and education comes from inside of the classroom. Very rarely will you have any homework or exams that you're going to be needing to prepare for. Rather, you're almost more going to have readings and discussion posts that you're going to be required to do as assignments for your classes. So it's less of the traditional homework setting, and it's almost more of those collaborative discussion posts on our Canvas webpage for that specific class. All right. Then, got a couple other questions here. To clarify, the traineeship is from 4:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. on Fridays. That is correct. Traineeship in that final year of the program. Whether you had priorly been assigned Tuesday, Wednesdays, or Thursdays, that day is going to shift. Everybody's going to be here on Fridays from 4:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Same students, same cohorts. You're just being in that collaborative discussion-based setting with your faculty advisor in that final year of the program. Correct. Can you get both the LPCC and the LMFT, or do you have to choose one? You can get both of those licenses once you graduate from this program. We'll talk about those licensure requirements here in a couple of slides. Are the classes in person, online, or both? That's a great question I want to touch on. The only online programs that USF offers is the Master of Public Health and the Master of Science in Nursing. Every other program is 100% in person with very limited option for online classes. And I want to be honest about this up front. There are no online classes for any of our MFT programs at any location. So the programs, the campus that you're applying for, it's going to be 100% in person. Great questions, guys. All righty, perfect. So that was the last question. Let's go ahead and jump over to these next series of slides, which is the fieldwork experience. Now, throughout our website, you're going to be seeing the fieldwork experience designated as a bunch of different titles. You may see it as fieldwork experience. You also might see it as traineeship, and an old kind of outdated term that you still might see somewhere on the website might be the practicum. Now, in a nutshell, these are the hours that are going to be required for you to graduate from your program. So these hours will start to be tracked during your final year of the program. So students will begin their fieldwork placement search in year 2 of the program. In year 2 of your program, we're actually going to be having a traineeship fair on our campus where we invite all 30 of our Sacramento area partners to come visit the Sacramento campus for an evening, and you'll have a chance to meet and interact with all of our Sacramento area agencies and partners, talking to them about their fieldwork experience location, what exactly it entails, what an everyday life looks like for students that are pursuing their traineeship at that agencies, and most importantly, is that position paid or unpaid? If it is paid, how much is it paying per hour, and how long is that commitment every single week? In that final year of your program, you will complete about 425 hours worth of field work experience. 225 of those hours must be client contact hours, where you're sitting face to face with your client or multiple clients. If you're doing group counseling, client contact hours. Student interested in the professional clinical counseling track must have 280 hours of client contact facing hours. So definitely keep that in mind. You will accrue your fieldwork hours at your placement side for that one academic year in your final year of the program. And that includes social service agencies, school districts, rehab facilities, group homes, private practices in the area. We will give you a list of all of those opportunities in that final year of the program. And we'll be honest with you, those opportunities change every single year. So we'll give you an updated list. We'll help you apply to these fieldwork agencies in your second year of the program, and you will actually start to accrue those hours in your final year of the program. So definitely keep that in mind. It's a very unique experience. We are going to talk to you about where you would like to do your fieldwork placement in your second year of the program. And we'll kind of have a gauge once you start taking classes on whether or not you are pursuing the MFT license, the clinical counseling license, or both of those. And if you have a specific population or demographic that you're trying to work with. For example, let's say you're trying to do school counseling, or you're trying to work with geriatric communities, or you're trying to work in veteran hospitals, or whatever population that you want to work with, we will make sure that you're aware of all those fieldwork agencies in the Sacramento areas. And if they have available positions, that you're applying to those. We will have you apply to multiple positions in that second year in the program. And best case scenario is you get accepted for all of those positions, and now you get to choose where you want to do your fieldwork agency hours at, and we will help walk you through that process. So that's something that Carmen Pacheco and her team will kind of walk you through a little bit more and helping you feel confident about where that fieldwork experience is going to take place in that final year of the program. Now, these next couple of slides are going to be all about the licensure requirements. Now, in order to earn your marriage family therapy license in the state of California, students need to complete an MFT program. That's us here at USF Sacramento. You also need to complete 3,000 hours of fieldwork experience. Now, that 3,000 hours of fieldwork experience, the 425 hours that you're completing in this program for graduation, those will go towards your overall 3,000 for the state of California. So realistically, post-graduation, students are going to be responsible for about 2,500 hours post-graduation. So definitely keep that in mind. It takes students anywhere from 1 to 2 years to complete those hours post-graduation. However, the opportunity for the traineeship fair is not only for students in their second year, it's also for students in their third and final year of the program as well, to again, meet these fieldwork agencies for a second time and start talking to them about full-time employment opportunities post-graduation. You could already work as a full-time therapist or counselor as long as you're working under somebody who's a licensed family therapist or a licensed clinical counselor that can sign off on those hours for the state of California. You could already work with your own client list and caseload, getting that full-time salary as long as you're working under somebody. So we'll have that opportunity for our seniors in the program as well to come back to campus, mingle with these fieldwork agencies, start talking to them about full-time opportunities. Again, if that fieldwork agency that you've already selected for that third year turns out to not be what you were expecting and you want to jump into a different field, a different demographic, different population, we'll bring you back to that campus for that resource fair so you can meet those folks as well. That MFT licensure exam also includes a written portion of the exam that will help you prepare for in your final year of the program. Now, for the professional clinical counseling license, again, professional clinical counseling, that's working with folks with their own mental, behavioral, and cognitive health. It requires completion of an LPCC graduate program. That is still this Master's of Arts in Counseling Psychology program here at USF Sacramento. Your fieldwork experience, you will require 280 minimum hours of practicum and 3,000 hours of internship post-graduation. So we're going to talk about this first bullet point. 280 hours minimum of practicum, right? So you're completing 425 during your time in the program. So this first bar, you are all good to go. You're already going to complete this with the minimum requirements of the program. This second bullet point, those 3,000 hours of internship post-graduation, in order to earn your professional clinical counseling license in the state of California, all 3,000 of those hours must be completed post-graduation. So not only will you need to do 425 of those hours during your time in the program, you will need to complete all 3,000 hours after graduation for the state of California. And that is a state mandated requirement. That's going to be the same at every program that you're going to pursue in the state of California. So definitely keep that in mind. PCC also comes with a written licensure exam, so we'll help you out with that exam, preparing for that in your final year of the program. Typically takes students about 2.5 years to meet the eligibility requirements to sit for the clinical counseling exam post-graduation from the program, right? Admission requirements. Let's talk about the admission requirements. They will include an online School of Education application with that $55 application fee. Now, since you're all attending the info session right now, that is awesome. All of you will actually be receiving an application fee waiver for fall 2024. That'll be in the 24-hour email that you're going to get around this time tomorrow for the session. So it'll have a link for the recording. It'll also have that application fee waiver for fall 2024. This is a master's degree program, so a bachelor's degree is required. Now, psychology is preferred, but it is not required. Sometimes we'll see students come in with philosophy degrees, biology degrees, chemistry degrees, ethnic studies, history, music. We have a student a couple of years ago. He got accepted with a mechanical engineering degree from 10 years ago. So when you get accepted into the program, you're going to see a wide variety of students from a wide variety of life experiences and academic backgrounds coming into the program. And honestly, in my opinion, that makes for more fruitful conversations in the classroom. So you're not going to be in a classroom with 20 other psychology majors. You're going to be in a wide variety of experiences and academic backgrounds when you're coming into the program. But it is still cohort system, right? So the 20 students that you get accepted with in your cohort, you're going to see all of those same students until you eventually graduate from the program in 3 years. The minimum GPA to be accepted into the program right now is a 2.75 or higher. Now, that is going to be your cumulative overall GPA. So we are going to look at everything that appears on your transcripts from your bachelor's degrees, other master's degrees, community colleges, everything. It is going to be an overall cumulative GPA. Part of the application process is we will ask for you to upload unofficial copies of your transcripts directly to your application from every single college or universities that you've attended. Official transcripts won't be required until you're actually accepted into the program for fall 2024. And we're going to talk about the admission period here in just a moment. There will be 2 letters of recommendation on the application. Now, you are not uploading the letters of recommendation yourself. You are uploading contact information for your recommender. So let's say, for example, you want to list Javier Gutierrez as one of your recommenders. You'll go in, you'll list my first and my last name. You'll list the relationship to the student applicant. You'll list my contact phone number and my contact email address. Once you upload my name directly to your application, I will automatically get an email from the School of Education here at USF saying, hi, Javier Gutierrez is trying to apply to the MFT program in Sacramento. Click here to upload a letter of recommendation on his behalf. So you are not uploading the letters yourself. You are just uploading the contact information of your recommender. So make sure you guys are selecting somebody who is on it with the emails, going to get that letter of recommendation to you in a speedy and timely process that is required in order for you to be accepted into the program. Now, pre-COVID times, we were very strict with who these letters of recommendation needed to come from. They typically needed to come from deans, directors, program advisors, previous counselors, anywhere from the world of academia, right? In a post-COVID world, we're very lenient with who these letters of recommendations should come from. So most recently, I've seen students use previous pastors, priests, community mentors, leaders, previous supervisors, coworkers. These letters of recommendation should come from anybody who can recommend you for graduate level work or have seen you in leadership positions. Anybody who can attest to those leadership skills that you can bring to the program or that passion for helping underserved communities or others, that's who those letters of recommendation should come from. And honestly, that's what they should be talking about when they're writing your letters of recommendation. So if you're looking for somebody to give them some direction for the letter of recommendation, give them that insight and that those tidbits when they're writing your recommendation in the future. Now, an updated resume is going to be required as well, or CV, curriculum vitae, with your updated work or volunteer experience and any accolades that you want to show the directors, and a statement of intent. Now, before we talk about the statement of intent, I actually have a whole slide on that. The GRE is not required for fall 2024. I'll be honest with you. We got rid of the GRE requirements for all of our master's degree programs during the COVID-19 pandemic. I don't think it's making a comeback anytime soon. So right now, the GRE is not required for admission into any of our USF master's degree programs. But the statement of intent is. Now, the statement of intent will have a prompt every single year. The prompt is articulate your knowledge and your interest in the field, your connection to our social justice mission, and a rationale for wanting to attend the USF MFT program. Now, like we talked about, the program director, her name is Carmen Pacheco. She's actually a graduate of the USF MFT program. So she's been here in Sacramento for the better part of the last 10 to 15 years, building this program from the ground up, and is very selective with who she brings into the program at the end of the day. This is the biggest piece of the application process. This is your opportunity for you to talk about yourself and what you bring to the table at the end of the day. So to get started into brainstorming tidbits, she wants you guys to know, she wants you to consider your interest in becoming a marriage and family therapist or professional clinical counselor, or if that's both of them, talking about your rationale to do so. She wants you to reflect on your professional and your academic journey as it relates to your career path, and include any relevant experience that you have in community mental health or working with underserved populations. Another tidbit that I was actually just talking to her about a couple of weeks ago, if you already have in mind the population or the demographic that you want to work with, like we talked about, if you know that you want to work in veteran hospitals and geriatric communities, in school districts, if you want to work, with refugees or international folks, whatever the case may be, right? If you already have in mind the demographic that you want to serve, you have to talk about that in your statement of intent. She's very keen on admitting students who already have an understanding and already bought in to the world of psychology, therapy, and counseling. So we don't need to do that piece for you on the front end. You're already bought in because you're applying to the program. So if you can translate that and understand that in the statement of intent process, that makes you a better candidate to be accepted into the program. So if you have that idea, be sure you're writing about that in your statement of intent. It should be anywhere from 3 to 5 pages typed and double spaced. There's no word count, or I should say word limit. There's also no word minimum. She likes pages, 3 to 5 pages typed and double spaced is what she's looking for. So that is the statement of intent in a nutshell. I should also say there is one last additional piece that we've added in to the application process this last year, and it is an interview process. Now, if you meet all the minimum requirements, and after reading of your statement of intent, if Carmen Pacheco and her team want to bring you in for the second round of the admission process, that is the interview process. At that point, she will reach out to you via phone or via email once we receive your application, and she'll actually invite you to come visit the Sacramento campus, and that serves 2 purposes. That serves 1, so she can show you around the campus, make sure that you're familiar with everything before you potentially get accepted into the program, and 2, for you to get to expand a little bit on your statement of intent, and for her to get to understand you in a little bit more detail and who you are beyond the world of academia. She also brings students in for an interview to determine what cohort that you're going to be a part of. Like we talked about, she will accept 40 students into the program. She'll typically have around 100 applications every single year. So she's going to narrow down that 100 to about 40 students. Not all 100 of those applicants will be academically eligible for the program. So she will end up interviewing about 80 students at the end of the day, and cut in half is 40. Cut in half even more is cohort A and cohort B. That is the primary purpose of that interview, to get to know you a little bit more, get to know a little bit more of your personality, what you bring to the table, and what cohort that you're going to be placed in at the end of the day. So do keep that in mind. There is that interview process. And Carmen Pacheco, she's awesome. Like I mentioned, she's a graduate of the USF MFT program, so she knows this program like the back of her hand, and she's been responsible for this program here in Sacramento for the last 10 or 15 years. So she's going to ask you a mixture of formal and informal questions just to get you out of your shell a little bit if you are nervous doing that interview as well. So she'll be your primary point of contact if you do get accepted into the program. Once you guys do that interview with Carmen Pacheco, it typically takes her and the team about 1 week to send an admission letter to you after you do that final interview with her. So that final singular 1 interview after you submit your application to the program. Now, for fall 2024, the priority deadline for fall 2024 right now is February 1st. Now, all that means is that's when Carmen Pacheco and her team are going to begin reviewing applications for fall 2024. So if you are able to get in your application by February 1st, Carmen Pacheco and her team are going to review applications that first week of February. They're going to start interviewing students in the second week of February. So if your application's in by February 1st, you will be among some of the first students that are accepted for fall 2024. We will keep the application open on a rolling admission basis until we hit our 40 student maximum for fall 2024. Just to give you guys some insight and some input, we hit our 40 student maximum for fall 2023, the current semester that we're in right now, around June 30th of this year. So around the middle of the year, June 30th is when we're anticipating closing the application for fall 2024 when we hit that 40 student maximum. So realistically, anytime between February 1st and June 30th, that's the time period where you're going to want to get in your application. And if you're serious about admission, getting in as soon as you can. The sooner that you submit your application, the sooner that you potentially be accepted into the program for fall 2024. She will not review anybody's application until after the February 1st deadline. So right now, you guys still have about a month and a half to get those applications in if you want to be among some of the first students to be accepted for fall 2024. Tuition and financial aid. This is always a big conversation for our students. So it's something I want to spend a little bit of time talking about right now. Right now, the current tuition rates, and this is for the 2023-2024 academic year. We actually don't quite have numbers yet for 2024-2025, but it typically stays the same every single year. Right now, tuition prices are $1,275 per unit that you're taking in the program. Keep in mind, this is a 60-unit program. So we get upwards of about $70,000 at the end of your 3-year time in the program. Now, this is still a master's degree program at a private university. So you are going to be eligible for financial aid through the FAFSA application or the California Dream Act application if you're an undocumented student. Now, you are going to be applying for a combination of scholarships from the university, things like grants from the universities, but most of the students will only end up around $5,000 to $25,000 with the grants and scholarships from the university. That still leaves a good 2/3 of your degree. Most students are taking out loans through the university to finance that final portion of their degrees. So definitely keep that in mind. Tuition is the same at all of our campus locations, and it is the same exact amount of units at every single campus program. So do keep that in mind. Majority of students will end up taking out loans to finance their degrees here at the university. But everybody's financial aid package is going to be different based on the need that is expressed on the FAFSA or the California Dream Act. If you want to get a head start and kind of talk to our financial aid department about the financing process as a master's degree student here in Sacramento, I would recommend reaching out to them via phone or via email sometime between now and the time that you submit your application, just to get an idea of what that financing conversation is going to be like. So if you are accepted for fall 2024, hopefully it's an easy decision and you can respond to your admission within that 2-week grace period that we give you once you are accepted for fall 2024. Oh. And that really about does it for the session. Last thing, I actually forgot to mention this about the tuition and financial aid piece. Carmen Pacheco belongs to the School of Education for the university, and oftentimes she does sit on committees in order to to go over eligibility requirements for specific scholarships through the School of Education. Once those scholarships become available, she is part of the initial team that hears about them first. So she has great insight for her students on when these scholarships become available every single year during your time in the program. So there might not be a lot of scholarships in your first semester of the program. Those scholarships may come about in your second, third, or fourth semester in the program. So having her as an ear on the inside of the School of Education is actually a really good resource for you to have. Once those scholarships or grant opportunities become available, she will be in your guys' ears, making sure that you're applying to those as they become available, right? So definitely keep that in mind as well, something looking forward to from the university. And that really about does it. Like I mentioned, my name is Javier. I'm the assistant director for the campus. I do all the pre-admission advising and outreach for all 4 of our academic programs here at the Sacramento location. So any questions that you have about the MFT program can go ahead and get started with me. Anything that I don't have the answer to, that's when I defer to Carmen Pacheco and her team to go in and give us some insight on those programs. So any questions that you have, go ahead and refer them to me or go ahead and refer them to Carmen in the future. And without any further ado, we do have about 15 minutes left in the session, so we are going to open it up to questions and conversations. Any questions, comments, or concerns that you guys have about the program? If we need to backtrack a couple of slides in this session as well, we can do that as well. Like we talked about, we're going to go ahead and take the unmuting questions first. So if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and unmute yourself now, and then we'll jump into the chat feature after to answer some of those final questions that we may have about the program. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to unmute themselves and ask right now? We're good on the verbal questions, which is awesome. So let's go ahead and jump into the chat. So let me go ahead. Where did my chat box go? Here we go. Is it okay to submit 3 letters of recommendation? That's a great question. I believe the application will only allow you to submit 2 contact pieces for the program. Let me go ahead and reach out to you, Russell, after this appointment to see if I can confirm that with Carmen Pacheco and the team, but I believe you're only allowed to submit 2 names on the application, but I'll follow up with you directly and I'll confirm that. Is there a specific format, MLA or APA, that we need to use to write the statement? APA, American Psychological Association, is what she prefers when it comes to that statement of intent. Will we have access to the slides in the recording post-session for review? Yes, like we talked about. Tomorrow in 24 hours, you will get a link to our YouTube channel, and the recording of this session is going to be posted on our YouTube page. I will need some time to go in and correct the closed captionings for the video, so sometime to the middle, maybe beginning of next week, give me until, I'll go ahead and post the recording of the sessions with the updated captions to our YouTube page. You'll get a link to that in the 24-hour email from today. All right. Does USF offer work study opportunities? The answer is yes. When you're getting your financial aid in the future, when you're getting your financial aid for fall 2024, federal work study is going to be an opportunity for almost every single student at the university. However, we do not have any student worker positions here at the Sacramento campus location. In total, there's only about 250 students that attend classes here at the campus, and there's only 3 total staff members. And that doesn't include the program directors or faculty advisors. There's the campus director, there's the assistant director, which is me, and there's the office admin. There are actually no student worker positions. So while federal work study is going to be an opportunity for you, you may need to find an online working position from the main San Francisco campus. So the answer to that is a little bit tricky sometimes. If you want to talk about that a little bit more, feel free to reach out to me directly and we could chat a little bit more. If utilizing VA benefits, is housing allowance determined on the satellite campus area or the main campus in San Francisco? Yeah, that's a great question, Lisa. I actually don't know. Go ahead and reach out to me directly, and I'll actually connect you with Danielle Castillo. She is the primary advisor over in the Veteran Affairs office at Hilltop. So reach out to me directly, Lisa, and I'll connect you with Danielle Castillo, and we'll see if we can get an answer to that question next week. All right. If we're applying to other programs as well with later deadlines, how does that work with the 2-week deadline to accept admission? Yeah, that's a great question. That's something that you're going to be working with Carmen Pacheco and her team once you get accepted into the program. If you need an exception to that 2-week rule, typically she's very lenient with students in that 2-week deadline. That's typically just to get students to go in and accept their intent to enroll for fall 2024. If you go past that 2-week deadline, I'll be honest with you, I really haven't seen students get dropped from the admission piece, but like we talked about, go ahead and reach out to me directly and we'll see if we can get an answer to that question next week when we come back into the office. Are you able to talk about the Kaiser Mental Health Scholars Academy? Yeah, that's a great question. I actually don't know too much about the Kaiser Mental Health Academy, and that's something that Carmen Pacheco and her team might know a little bit more about. So, Russell, if you want to go ahead and reach out to me with that question as well, I'll connect you with Carmen Pacheco and the team to see if they know a little bit more about that Kaiser Scholarship Academy. All righty. Trinidad, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do, Javier. First, thank you so much for all the information and your time. Really appreciate that. Second here, in addition to all of the admissions criteria you outlined here, are there any course prerequisites that we would have to consider other than just having a bachelor's degree?
Great question. For our USF marriage family therapy programs, there are no course prerequisites in order to be accepted into the program. So most commonly, students will take things like an introduction to psychology class, and sometimes students will ask if they can use upper division psychology coursework from their bachelor's degree to cover courses in the master's degree. The answer is no. There are no prerequisites for the program when it comes to classes, and there's no transfer credit into the university as well. Unless you started a master's degree, a marriage family therapy program at a different college or university, students are permitted to transfer up to 6 units worth of credit to the University of San Francisco. So no, there's no course prerequisites, and you're permitted only up to 6 units of transfer credit from other MFT programs. It's a great question. All right, got one more question here in the chat. Let me go ahead and pop that up. VA benefits are adjusted for the Sacramento area. You can go to the VA website and verify into the program. It indicates the value per location. Thank you, Rodolfo. I appreciate the clarification. So yeah, if you still want to reach out to me so we can clarify that and connect you with the VA department over in San Francisco, I do think that would be a good idea. I assume once you look at the website, there may be some more questions that come out of that. So it may still be good to connect you with the folks over at the VA office, just so we can go ahead and get those questions clarified as well. All righty. Does anybody have any other final questions before we let you go for the evening?
Yeah, quick question, additional one, sorry. Is the program COCREP accredited?
That's a great question. So I think there's a COAMP accreditation and a COCREP accreditation. So the program here in Sacramento and all of our campus locations are not COCREP and COCREP accredited. So oftentimes we'll see those accreditations required to work for specific private or nonprofit communities or specific associations or businesses that you're trying to join. So keep in mind, this program is accredited under the Board of Behavioral Sciences. So a lot of these entry-level therapy and counseling positions, it's going to make you eligible for, but do look into, if you have a specific company that you're looking into working for, if they do require a specific accreditation, we are not COCREP accredited. So definitely keep that in mind.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yep. All righty. Any other final questions? Going once, going twice. Beautiful. All righty. My contact information is on the screen in front of you. All the notifications that you got for this session as well, those come from my direct USF email address. So if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and shoot me an email. In the signature of all my emails is also going to be my direct office line. So if you just need to go ahead and shoot me over a call as well, just for a quick clarifying question, feel free to do so as well. I want to say thank you to everyone for attending this session, taking some time out of your Friday afternoon to come in, learn about our MFT program. Keep in mind, the application is open right now for fall 2024. The priority deadline is going to be February 1st in about 2 months from now. If you have any questions till then, feel free to reach out to me and we'd love to be a resource for you. So other than that, thank you all so much for your time this afternoon. Go Dons, and we hope to see you here in the future. All righty, everyone. Take care. Happy Friday. Take care.